Guys, I have a confession. I don't really like Dark Souls, and I think the games are highly overrated. This is my rant on why I don't like the Dark Souls series. The worst part of Dark Souls, in my opinion, is the gameplay. It's really not fun. The combat feels slow, clunky, and outdated, and it doesn't feel fluid. I never really enjoyed fighting things, which is a big problem in an action RPG. Not to mention the camera and the autolock is really shitty too. It's like I'm constantly fighting the game itself, rather than the enemies. I feel the difficulty in this game is mostly artificial. The game isn't even really that hard. It's mostly just tedious and annoying. The difficulty doesn't come from the enemy's moveset and the test of your ability to avoid them. Because come on, circle strafing works on most of the enemies in this game. The enemies aren't that complex. So what's the problem? Well, the problem is that the enemies have RNG patterns. Sometimes I expect an enemy to do one thing and they do something else, even though it looked like they were doing another thing. Sometimes an enemy does a 2-hit combo, but then another time it does a 4-hit combo but with the same exact telegraph animation. Sometimes an enemy would do another attack right after their previous one, even though the last time it had a way longer cooldown period for that attack, and I had no time to react or predict this. There's just too much randomness when fighting enemies. Combat needs to be predictable and consistent so the player is able to react to the enemy accurately and consistently. This is why Dark Souls difficulty is unfair. Another example of artificial difficulty is the fact that the developers would just throw too many enemies at you. Again, it's not the complexities of the enemy's moveset that makes this hard. It's just the fact that there's too many of them. A good example of this is the Bale Gargoyles, the Balefry Gargoyles, and Ornstein and Smough. Now, I know a lot of people like Ornstein and Smough, and yeah, they're kinda cool, but that boss fight is fucking atrocious. Like, you will barely be able to get one hit in. Now, facing just one of these guys is really not a big deal, but the developers just throw more enemies at you and call it hard. This also applies to the normal mobs as well, by the way. Not to mention you have to travel all the way from your bonfire to a boss fight or wherever you were when you died while running through or killing the same enemies every time. And if you're dying a lot, this can be a real pain in the ass. And this is just meant to frustrate you and give off the illusion that the game is harder than it really is by severely punishing you unnecessarily for dying. This game is literally giving you a timeout for dying. Dark Souls mainly revolves around the fear of tedium. If you die a whole bunch, you're gonna have to keep killing or running through the same enemies over and over and over again. Not to mention you lose all of your souls when you die, which is just unnecessary. It's just meant to punish you. There shouldn't be a punishment for dying. Dying is the punishment. Just let me get back to the action, for God's sake. Another problem I have with these games is the complete lack of direction. There's no map, waypoint, or anyone telling you where to go, besides vague, cryptic dialogue from NPCs that sound like they've been written by Shakespeare. I get that the game doesn't hold your hand, but giving you a sense of direction, or map, or a waypoint isn't really holding your hand. Some people think by helping or guiding the player as little as possible is admirable, but it's really not.